The first 2 weeks haven't gone according to plan for Texas Tech football, and some major changes are needed to get them back on track. In today's video, I'll discuss 6 things that I think Texas Tech needs to do to get back on track, ranging from personnel, slowing things down, and where the hell is Micah Hudson? Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. Greatly appreciate y'all tuning into the live stream so far this season. We'll have another one for you on Saturday morning when Texas Tech face off against the Mean Green of UNT. But before we get into anything UNT game week related, I need to ask you one question. And the question is this: what's the biggest thing Texas Tech has to change to get back on track this season? Let me know down in the pinned comment below. Do you think it's defense related? You think it's offense related? Do you think it's strictly coaching, personnel? Let me know down on the pinned comment below. And while you're down there, if you want 100% free and authentic Texas Tech content all year long pertaining to your Red Raiders on the gridiron and the hardwood, be sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button. All right, I'm going to start with the one that probably annoys me the most. We got to stop the screens, man. And I'm all for a screen. I think there's a time and a place for them. But having 11 screens in a game, and there was one drive where, granted, I may have missed one. I know for a fact there was one drive where Texas Tech had 3 screens on it. That's too many, right? And the big thing is with the screens is this: get the proper fucking personnel in the game. Pardon my language there. But why is Drae McCray, a guy that I like, a guy that brings an added and necessary component to the Texas Tech offense, on the field as a blocker? Why is he not the one catching the screen? What is going on here? Why is that a thing, right? If you are going to run a screen, get a guy like Caleb Payday Douglas as the lead blocker, Coy Aiken out there, get Jalen Conyers, right? Get creative with it and don't put a 5'8", 190-pound speedster as a lead blocker on a screen. It makes no sense whatsoever, in my opinion. Again, I am not saying get rid of the screens entirely. I think there's a time and a place, but I counted 11 in this game. That's too many. You have to be better. And I get what screens are there for. They're there to be a, extension of the run game and open things up in the middle of the field. The issue is you didn't use the damn middle of the field. So what was the point of the screens? It's just baffling to me. So that's critique number 1 in terms of what has to change. Number 2, use the run game. I know what you're thinking to yourself, specifically in the Washington State game for Texas Tech. Yes, they were without Tahj Brooks. Do you know how many yards per carry Cameron Valdez and Cam Dickey averaged in the first half against Washington State? I'll give you a second. 6. They averaged 6 yards per carry. Granted, it ended at 4, right? But that's still good enough to keep a defense honest, and it would have allowed Texas Tech to really open things up more on the outside where they obviously wanted to get the football with their screen usage, right? This is what you're looking at. 4 carries in this game for your 2 running backs that replaced the injured Tahj Brooks, who was out with an arm injury, and hopefully he's back for UNT. He had 15 carries and 59 yards, did Cameron Valdez and Cam Dickey combined in this one. That's about a 4-yard per carry average. Is that elite? No. Does it get the job done? Yes. And does it, more importantly, keep the offense in a position where the defense is honest? Yes. Why did they get away from that? Like, I get it, the score and everything, part of it. But at the same time, they were dropping back. Take what they give you. And that was the big thing that stood out. I'm not saying there's going to be, one of these situations where even Cameron Valdez takes one to the house or Cam Dickey takes one to the house. That's not what I'm saying in this situation. But if you continue to use them, right, and even incrementally, you don't have to use them all the time like you do Tahj. It makes the defense respect the run game. And simply put, Washington State had no reason to respect the run game in this one because they knew that Texas Tech was going to throw the football. Behren Morton threw 55-plus passes in this game. They just dropped back 8 and were like, all right, well, we know they're passing. What do we have to do? We don't need to do anything after that. You got to switch it up a little bit, even when you're down, to keep them honest and open up bigger windows for Behren Morton. That said, Behren missed a couple of easy throws in this game. And there's another aspect of this too. But before we get into that, again, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, doing another live watch party on Saturday. I think my biggest qualm so far with this Texas Tech offense has been the tempo and how that creates a trickle-down effect to the lack of discipline. And hear me out on this. I'm good with tempo, right? Like I think this team is actually good in high-tempo situations when it's going right. The problem is, in the first two games, be honest with yourself here. How many times has it gone right? Not very many. As mentioned before, when you go high tempo and you're inevitably going to throw a screen, have the proper personnel out there. Again, there's no reason Drae McCray shouldn't be catching the screen. Instead, he's blocking. It makes no sense, okay? If you're going to go quick, have the proper personnel in the game. This interesting stat from the Gambling Gauchos over on Twitter. Texas Tech has been penalized 21 times for 161 yards through 2 games this season. Again, 21 times for 161 yards. We are going into game number 3. This is in 2 games. That's 10.5 penalties per game for 80.5 yards per game. Those figures last year would have ranked 133rd and 132nd in the FBS last year. That's out of 133 teams. Dead last or second to last. This team is not disciplined, and that is a reflection onto the coaching staff more than anything. You have to see, if you are the coaching staff, specifically on the offensive side of things, where it seems like every other play on certain drives is a false start or illegal use of the hands, right? You have to put them in the proper position to succeed. And you notice there's a bunch of false starts for Texas Tech so far this year when they go high tempo. Slow it down. You can still go fast, but not go ultra fast, right? There's a happy medium there. You have to find it because your offensive line is getting tired and then they start making mental mistakes. You have to know that as a coach. Make those adjustments. That's the biggest adjustment this offense needs to make in terms of slowing it down a little bit. Like I said, you can still go fast, but you don't need to go ultra turbo every damn possession, period. All right. Communication and contain on the defensive side. Numerous times in this game, you could see wide receivers not knowing where the hell they were on the Tech offense. I know we were talking about defense, but really the ones that stood out to me rewatching the game was the linebackers and the defensive line not understanding their assignment. Obviously, that could just be on the player not understanding what they're supposed to do, but there's also a lack of communication behind that as well. They did not set the edge at all, and I was just getting vivid flashbacks of watching John Mateer, I believe is his name, for Washington State, the quarterback, and give all the credit in the world to them. He absolutely balled out. 197 rushing yards for the Washington State quarterback. 197 yards. I couldn't help but think of Avery Johnson, the Kansas State quarterback, and his performance against the Red Raiders back in the 806 last year, where they were just running QB power with Kansas State. That is all Washington State was running, it felt like, the entire second half, right? Obviously, that's not technically the case, but it felt like every other play was just, hey, QB power until they stop it, right? And Texas Tech could not stop it in any kind of way. This is a fundamental issue for Texas Tech. And now, will every quarterback be as mobile as Avery Johnson or John Mateer up there at Washington State? No. But if you're an offensive coordinator playing a Tim DeRuyter defense right now and you have any kind of availability in terms of your quarterback being mobile, I'm doing it right away. And Texas Tech has yet to address this issue and manage how to do things in terms of the contain and the communication that comes with that. Numerous times did I see guys overcorrecting themselves in terms of trying to get to the quarterback, and it just leaves gaping holes on either side of the line. That's got to change. You knew what they were doing, and there was no adjustment made. There was no communication to be had, let alone actually doing what you were supposed to be doing and containing. That's got to change for Texas Tech. Also, punting is okay, right? Like, we can agree with that, right? Like, not every drive is going to work out. I think you know that. I know that. I even think the coaching staff knows that. If you include the turnovers on downs for Texas Tech to the turnover department against Washington State, the Red Raiders turned the ball over 8 times. You heard that correctly. 8 times. 4 traditional turnovers, right? And then 4 turnovers on down. They were 1 for 5 on 4th downs, and some of them were just absolutely crazy, in my opinion. and put your defense in just abysmal spots when it came down to it. Wazzu, according to Ryan Hyatt over at Raiderland, had 57% of their snaps in Texas Tech territory. 57%. What do you expect the defense to do? Like, again, I said this in the recap video. Did the defense play great for Texas Tech? No. Did the offense do them any favors? Do the turnovers and did the coaching staff do them any favors in terms of just egregious fourth down decisions? No, right? But what are you expecting your defense to do when they're in awful situations and damn near Washington State is already in field goal position when they get the ball? Like, the likely outcome is Washington State is scoring, right? Like, that's the likely outcome. It is okay to punt. Like, use the analytics to some degree, but they are not the Bible, okay? Like, trust your football acumen as well, right? Like, you have to go in there and read a situation. You are, 4th and 4 on your own 46. You know your defense was just out there on a long drive, and, right, you're going quick. Obviously, they don't have a lot of time in terms of recovery. Your defense, okay, maybe go for that one, right? But if it's 4th and 4 and you're within your own 40, it's like, yeah, let's play the field position game here, bud. You know what I mean? It's that kind of aspect of it. Your defense, again, were they sensational against Washington State, let alone Abilene Christian? No, but they're probably going to do better things if their back isn't against the wall, and if they give up one run of 5-6 yards, they're already basically in the red zone, right? So that's another thing. Last, before we get out of here, and again, let me know down on the pinned comment below, what is the biggest thing Texas Tech has to change to get back on track this season? Do you think they get back on track? Let me know. But where the hell is Micah Hudson? And before anybody comes in the comments and says, yeah, he should be playing every snap, that's not what I'm saying. But why isn't he out there in the screen game, right? Like, why isn't he the one catching the screens? McGuire said he needs to get him more snaps in the Washington State press conference in terms of the recap press conference, but didn't know where or who to take off the field from the wide receiver group, was the quote from Joey McGuire. You have to get creative with a guy like Micah Hudson, period, end of story. That almost feels like a, hey, we don't know what to do with him type situation. You put him on the field and good things happen, right? Simple and plain. Mix and match, right? Micah Hudson should be playing more than less than 10 snaps. He has one catch for 4 yards in his first 2 games. Am I saying he's going to go out there and be Randy Moss or, Garrett Wilson or something like that? No. But he can impact football games at a high level. Use him. This is not a difficult thing to do. Rotate guys in and out if you need to, but there is absolutely no reason, bare minimum, Micah Hudson should not be playing at least 25 snaps, period. That's just how this works, right? In the screen game, he can go out there, be your lead blocker. I know I said, Drae McCray shouldn't do it. Micah Hudson's bigger than him, right? He's more physical than Drae McCray, and that's not a knock on Drae McCray. It's just the reality of it, okay? Get Micah Hudson in space with the ball in his hands and make things happen. The playmakers are not the issue for Texas Tech at this point. It's the coaching staff, and if we're being honest, I think Barron is solid, but I don't know in terms of some of these throws that we saw against Washington State if we're going to see that ceiling for Barron Morton. And right now, a guy that is perfect to help you get closer to that ceiling for your quarterback is Micah Hudson. Get the ball in his hands, Josh Kelly's hands, Caleb Pede Douglas's hands, Jalen Conyers' hands, right? Get the ball in your playmakers' hands in space. And where is the space right now, as we talked about earlier? In the middle of the damn field. All right. That's going to do it for today's video. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me. The channel's at an all-time high right now in terms of subs. We're almost, I believe, at 10,500. Appreciate each and every one of y'all for making that happen. And one more time, if you want 100% honest, authentic, and best part about it, free Texas Tech content every day for what's going on the gridiron and the hardwood for the Texas Tech Men Raider basketball team, all you got to do is 3 things for me. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell to join the Back to 12 squad.